All right. So, Shannon, we've talked about this concept of a revenue stack before on the show many times. In fact, I think all the way back to maybe not quite our first year, but I think pretty far back.
It's a key principle in living a charmed life, and I think especially when the economy gets choppy and we're not sure how things are going to look for maybe the next year or so, the revenue stack is critically important. So I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to revisit it today.
So let's talk about the revenue stack. Like let's explain to people what this is, right? The way I see it, and maybe you have a different definition of it, although I think we're pretty aligned. The idea is I think of I think of my income as coming from faucets, right? And having multiple faucets going all at different rates of flow at any given point in time is this revenue stack to me, right? Like there's avenues that from which I can derive income, and generally speaking, the ones I'm paying more attention to are the ones that push off more income than the others. That's not always true. There's been some businesses in my career where I've had some passive or mostly passive income, and that's also wonderful. But it's this idea for me of having the ability, if one faucet starts to dry up, either through my own fault or through no fault of my own, I have other faucets already built and ready to go that I can tap into instead of having to start something new when one thing just ends.
Yes. I think the key thing is the word end, because, the only constant is change, and things are going to change for your business and your personal life, all these things. And I pretty much we're in alignment. For me, it's this, a method of, really diversifying where your income, where your revenue is coming from, either for your business or in your personal life. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like investing. I mean, if you go get some advice on investing, the recommendation is not going to be put all your money in one thing, right? Or, one company, all this kind of stuff. Diversification is going to spread out the risk, and also, increases the opportunity for one of those revenue streams to really take off, and I have tried my whole life to get them all to be on full blast at once, and I'm still working on that.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know how to. I have yet to learn how to do that. But, yeah. But I think it's okay. I guess so. Yeah, in fact, that was one of the things. When we realized, when we were faced with the opportunity and ultimately the decision as to whether or not we wanted to sell the Mac Observer, last year, beginning of this year, that was a big part of the decision process for us. Was okay. Well, we have this revenue, this faucet in the revenue stack, and yes, we were going to be paid for that asset, but to no longer have it. But I had come to look at it. There had been times where the Mac Observer was my main focus, and derived from which I derived a bulk of my income. It had become different than that for me. It had become not passive, but it had become as I like to say, a well-maintained business in maintenance mode, which I knew, at least in the back of my head, at any time, if something else dried up, I had this thing I could go and tap, and it was, like I said, well-maintained, and we could turn it into a, more of a cash-generating thing if that's what we needed to do. And so selling that opportunity was really one of the hardest things to wrap our heads around. Was, we aren't going to have this safety net, if you will, right?
Right.
And so, it made me realize how tied I am to this concept of having a revenue stack, like how fundamental it has become for me that I couldn't just have one thing going. I think I'd be very nervous, and that'd be fine, because that anxiety or whatever it is would drive me to start something else.